There is a particular kind of woman who moves through relationships, friendships, romances, communities, even versions of herself, with a forward momentum that others find difficult to understand. She does not drift apart the way most people do, gradually and with ambivalence. She completes, she grows. She reaches a point where what once fit her no longer does, and then she moves. Not angrily, not dramatically. With the quiet, deliberate certainty of someone who has made peace with the direction she is headed and no longer needs anyone's permission to go there. People who have been left behind by a Sigma female often spend years trying to understand what happened. The answer is not complicated. She did not leave because of what they did wrong. She left because of how far she has grown, and how honest she is willing to be about the distance. The word outgrow carries implications that are not entirely fair to what is actually happening. It suggests superiority, that she has become better than the people she leaves behind, that she looks down at them from a height she has climbed to. That is not what happens. What happens is closer to what happens with roots and soil. She grows. She grows continuously, relentlessly, because growth is not something she chooses the way most people choose a project. It is the condition of her existence. She is constitutionally incapable of remaining static, and the people and environments that were right for her at one stage of her development, that genuinely fit her, that gave her what she needed, that she chose for real and valid reasons, simply stop fitting as she continues to grow beyond the shape they were built to hold. This is not arrogance. It is not ingratitude. It is the natural consequence of a woman who refuses to stop becoming who she actually is. The outgrowing does not happen overnight. It is a process, quiet, internal, rarely visible from the outside, that moves through stages before it reaches its conclusion. The first thing that happens is that she stops being fully honest. Not because she becomes dishonest, but because she has grown into a version of herself that the relationship cannot hold, and she begins to instinctively edit herself down to the size that fits inside it. She stops bringing the thoughts that are too large. She stops sharing the parts of her experience that she already knows won't be met with understanding. She is still present, but a meaningful portion of who she actually is has begun operating privately, outside the reach of the connection. The second thing that happens is that she stops growing inside the relationship. There was a time when being with this person, in this friendship, in this dynamic, pushed her, challenged her, opened her to something new. That time has passed. She is no longer expanding inside this container. She is simply occupying it. And for a woman whose entire orientation is toward growth, stagnation is not neutral. It is a slow, quiet alarm. The third thing that happens is that she starts noticing the cost. Not in a calculating way, but she begins to feel with increasing clarity what it costs her to maintain this connection at the size she has shrunk herself to in order to fit inside it. The energy spent, the thoughts she swallowed, the version of herself she set aside every time she walked into this space. She begins to feel the weight of the editing, and the weight once felt cannot be unfelt. The fourth thing that happens is the simplest and the most final. She stops trying, not in bitterness, in completion. The part of her that was still reaching toward this person, still hoping that the container might expand, still bringing her real self to the door and knocking, quietly withdraws. It does not slam the door. It simply stops knocking, and when the knocking stops, the outgrowing is complete. This is the phase that people almost never see happening in real time. The Sigma female's departure from a relationship, whether a friendship, a romantic connection, or any other kind, is not announced. It is not performed. It happens in the space between interactions, invisibly, as a series of small internal adjustments that cumulatively add up to a complete reorientation. She stops initiating. She responds when contacted, but no longer reaches first. She stops sharing the things that matter to her most. She stops bringing her full attention. She is still technically present in the relationship, but what is present is a managed, courteous version of her, not the real one. The real one has already been redirected. And because the Sigma female is skilled at managing transitions gracefully, the people around her often do not register that anything has changed until the change is already complete. By the time they feel the distance, she has been standing in it for months. I want to stop here and say something honest. The Sigma female's ability to outgrow people and continue forward without looking back is real. The self-possession it requires is real. But the story that she does this without pain, without grief, without the weight of what she is releasing, that story is not accurate. She grieves, privately, completely without an audience, in the way she does everything that actually costs her something. Yeah, she grieves the version of the relationship she believed in for longer than it deserved. She grieves the person she thought they were, or could become. She grieves the investment she made, the patience, the presence, the full and genuine care she brought to something that turned out to have a ceiling she could not see from the beginning. The fact that she moves forward cleanly does not mean the leaving was without cost. It means she has learned to carry the cost internally rather than distribute it to others. It means she has decided that grief is hers to process, not perform. It means the clean forward movement you observe is the result of work. Quiet, private, completed before anyone else is allowed to see it. People who have been outgrown by a Sigma female often interpret her not looking back as coldness, as evidence that the relationship meant nothing to her, as proof that she is incapable of real attachment. All of these interpretations are wrong. The Sigma female does not look back not because she does not care, but because she completed what she needed to complete before she left. She does not carry unfinished grief about the relationships she has outgrown because she processed that grief fully before she made peace with moving. She does not carry bitterness because she genuinely understands that the people she outgrew were not villains. They were simply the right size for a version of her that no longer exists. She does not look back because looking back requires an unfinished conversation. And she finished hers. Inside herself, alone, in the quiet that nobody else is invited to. The lack of looking back is not the absence of feeling, it is the completion of it. This is the part that almost never gets discussed in conversations about the Sigma female outgrowing people. The emphasis is always on the leaving, on what she moves away from, on who gets left behind, on the relationships that didn't survive her growth. But the leaving is never the point. The point is the direction. She is not oriented away from anything. She is oriented toward something. A version of her life, her work, her relationships, herself, that she can feel with more clarity than she can currently see. She moves toward it not because she knows exactly what it looks like, but because she knows precisely what it feels like. And everything she outgrows is simply evidence that she is still in motion, still aligned with her own becoming, still refusing the particular kind of comfort that comes with staying in a place that no longer belongs to her. The people she outgrows are not the story. The direction she moves in is the story. On the other side of the outgrowing, something opens up. The energy she was spending to maintain herself at a smaller size becomes available again. The mental bandwidth that was occupied by managing what she was editing out of herself returns. And she brings that energy, that clarity, that recovered bandwidth to the things that actually fit the size she has grown into. Work that challenges her fully, relationships that can hold her real weight, a life structured around what she actually is rather than what she has had to pretend to be in spaces that couldn't accommodate the truth of her. She does not build loudly. She does not announce the building or perform it for an audience. But what she builds, slowly, carefully, with the full force of someone who has finally stopped dividing herself between what she is and what others need her to be, has a quality of solidity, of authenticity, of genuine fit that she has not experienced in everything she has outgrown. It is the difference between a room that was assigned to her and a room she designed herself. She is in the right room now, and she knows it. The Sigma female who outgrows people is not someone who discards. She is someone who grows. There is a difference that matters. She did not love carelessly. She did not invest without meaning it. She did not choose the people she has outgrown randomly or dismiss them without consideration. She chose them fully, loved them with everything she had at the time, and grew in a direction they could not follow. Not because they are lesser, but because she is moving and they are not, or they are moving in a different direction, or the container of what existed between them was built for a version of her that has already become someone else. The growth is not the betrayal. The growth is the most honest thing she has ever done. And the not looking back is not cruelty. It is the decision, made once and not revisited, that she will be loyal to what she is becoming rather than apologetic about what she has outgrown. That loyalty, to her own forward motion, to the person she is still in the process of becoming, is the most defining thing about her. Not where she has been, where she is going. And she is always, always still going. If you have felt yourself growing beyond the spaces that used to fit you, and have not known whether to trust that movement, this channel was built for exactly that. Stay with us.